Hello there, Mark Sabatella here. In this video, I want to talk about a little bit of a conflict that sometimes exists between the desire to honor traditional voice leading rules and the desire to write music that makes sense for the context. And in particular, I'm talking about here the idea of parallel fifths being maybe something to avoid in some contexts, and then the reality of writing for piano in which parallel fifths actually serve kind of a purpose, actually. So I'm going to show you the arrangement that I've been working on. I think I'm pretty much done here, but this is a little portion, the beginning of my arrangement of In the Bleak Midwinter, the Gustav Holst melody. So let me just play my introduction here, the piano part. All right, so right off the bat, you hear what's happened? I have parallel fifths here, and then, the perfect fifth here, and then a perfect fifth there, right? That's parallel fifths. That is a no-no. There's other things going on here that could explain this, but I just want to point that out, that parallel fifths will happen. And if I want to kind of give some context for like, oh, this isn't just me breaking some rules because I feel I can get away with it, let's take a deeper look at this piece here. So first of all, does this sound at all familiar, this the piano part here? That? Does that? Yeah? If it did that, that would be Debussy's Clair de Lune. All right, so I didn't deliberately set out to copy Clair de Lune, but I was quite aware that this sounded Clair de Lune-ish. So let's flip over and check out Clair de Lune, shall we? If we do that, you'll see, okay, it's actually in D flat instead of D, and this is all nicely voice-led up here in the upper register to use inversions, and it avoids parallel fifths, but that's going to happen because as long as you're in the upper range of the piano, inversions are going to be very effective. But as soon as you start wanting to get that left hand down in the bass range, we're going to want more root position, and that's going to mean some roots and fifths. So if we check out what happens when we get to around this spot of the piece, we have a nice solid low perfect fifth here, and then the next measure is also a perfect fifth there. So from beat one to beat one is parallel fifths, right? And it's just going to happen when you're writing for piano. Now there's other stuff going on that maybe obscures that a little bit, but if we look a little further into the piece, we get to this arpeggio section here, right? Root and fifth, and then root and fifth again, right? So he's arpeggiating with those roots and fifths, and it's going to be kind of unavoidable, I should say. And then, it gets even more so. Right? Boom, 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 boom. A flat, E flat, G flat, D flat, F, C, right? It's going to be in there, and that's arpeggiated, and you might think, oh, well, he only does that when arpeggiating, but no, all we got to do is flip over to some other, this is an actual song with lyrics, and this is the piano accompaniment, and you look at this thing, and it's just, right? It's root and fifth in the left hand, powerfully so, and, again here. It's just part of how we write for the piano. So I don't want to say we pay no attention to parallel fifths, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of context to understand that it kind of works in a particular way when writing for piano. Before I leave the topic, though, I do want to show you the original Gustav Holst here and point out that he kind of does this too. I mean, check out what's happening here. This is his original 4-part setting. Well, let's just listen to that left hand, the tenor and bass. Right? I mean, can't you hear this to that? I mean, that is a pretty blatant bit of parallel fifths writing for voices. And yes, he gets away with it because technically the tenor doesn't go straight from the C to the A here. It goes C, F, A. But no, I still hear that fifth going to that fifth. It's still triggering the same thing, and it's a bleak midwinter. What can I say? It's a bleak midwinter. That's a bleak sound, and so there's another excuse to maybe get away with it. So anyhow, hopefully that gives you a little context. It's not free rein to completely ignore the subject of parallel fifths, because when you're trying to write independent lines, counterpoint and so forth, there's a lot of good reason to avoid them in a lot of situations. But there's a lot of situations, especially writing for piano, where it just makes sense to have some parallel fifths between those roots and fifths in the left hand. It's just going to happen, and it's all right. You have my permission.